Actually, some of our beaches are some of the most treacherous in the world. I mean,
Overland America can take you everywhere and meet everyone. This is Overland America Uncut. Don't forget to crush that like button to subscribe. Where will your next adventure take you?
Well, welcome everybody. I'm here with Albert from Team Hard Life.
yes, sir.
Gonna drive down pins. We've got our fishing
Sorry,
gear.
look at the water. Look at the water. Like, I haven't been down here in months, so I'm sorry I had to interrupt.
Months?
Yeah, it's been
Oh,
months.
well, we're gonna take care of you. So yeah, Overland America, Team Hard Life, teaming up. We're gonna head down pins, maybe do a little bit of fishing. We got the gear in the back. Albert will talk about that later, but basically, this is just an interview. Albert, introduce yourself, sir.
How y'all doing, guys? My name is Albert Saktucci. I'm Team Hard Life captain. I'm also owner of Hard Life's Bait and Tackle, as well as owner of A to Z Tackle Distributing. I've got a YouTube channel called Team Hard Life, as he was talking about, and I've been doing the fishing tackle since 2004. I kind of stumbled upon that, and it was basically because, you know, we got to fishing a lot more, and then you lose tackle left and right, and then you start to realize how expensive it is to go fishing like that. People don't really realize that until they start getting into it. And
Well,
like,
no, people do realize. The men don't realize. Wives realize how expensive it is to go fishing.
Mm-hmm.
So
with that, it was like we were building our own tackle, you know, a certain way that I was taught when I was younger. And then as I got older and started buying my own gear, I started realizing, man, I could do something different or improve my gear this way or make it special to me. And what really set me apart is developing tackle that actually performed or outperformed other gear that was being fished on the pier. And I'm talking against guys that all put in hundreds upon hundreds of hours a month fishing. So it's there, and that's how I stumbled upon it. I really did.
And how long have you been fishing?
I've been fishing since I was 5 years old.
On the surf fishing, right?
Okay, surf fishing, I didn't get introduced to that until I was 12.
Okay.
And that was actually at Bob Hall Pier. So I don't know if you consider that surf fishing because I'm not on the sand, but I was on, you know, the Gulf of Mexico. So,
yeah, exactly. Okay, 12 years old.
Yeah.
That's going back.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's 31 years ago. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, take us back. Take us back to that time. So you grew up here in the Corpus area?
Yes, I did.
That's awesome. Has it changed a lot since you've?
Oh yeah.
Since,
Yeah, we used to have a lot of cornfields and 2-lane roads and small highway. Like SPID was just a 2-lane highway going northbound and southbound.
yeah.
The Laguna Madre Drive was on a paved road. It's not a highway like it is now. I mean, they're just coming out to pins was like, we came out here one time at night, and that was the only time we saw it because we couldn't afford the drive coming out here all the time and stuff like that. That and didn't know nothing about it. Scared of sharks and stingrays because we were uneducated, and so from there just got introduced to Bob Hall Pier, and man, it just planted a seed that grew into a huge red oak. The best way I can describe it. So.
That's awesome. So you grew up here. You went to school here. Where'd you go to school?
I graduated from Moody.
Okay.
Started out at Travis as elementary, Cunningham in my middle school, and then I went to high school at Moody and graduated in '98. Go Trojans!
1998. Very cool. Yeah. So Gen Xer. We were talking about Gen X yesterday, so I'm happy to have a fellow Gen Xer in the car with us because we were talking about the different generations yesterday when we came down with Cole, and just how each generation has fared. So you'll have to go back and take a look at it.
I'm definitely gonna check that out.
Some of it's pretty pointed, you know, against like the boomers, and how our generation was one of the best generations ever. You know,
I would say the most adaptive.
very, very well put. Yeah, adaptive.
You got to think, man. Our generation started out with rotary phones.
That's right.
And we went from rotary phones
Push button.
to push button,
Yeah.
then to the big old cellular phones,
Yes.
to the smaller cellular phones, and actually before that it was pagers.
I had a Motorola.
I did too.
I had a
man.
Motorola.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
So,
Yeah.
you know, we went through so many changes in our period of life.
That's right. You used to go up there and you would text your friends
On the payphone.
on the payphone. You would text them words on the pager.
Mm-hmm.
So 911, call me right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There was a whole language to the pagers.
But we also did hello.
Hello?
We did SOS.
Yes.
What's your 20? I mean, it was like ETA. There was different ways to get those specific things because you were limited to, what was it, 10 digits, 8 digits, something like that. You didn't have a lot of digits.
I don't even remember. Yeah. And then those advanced, and then you could text.
Yeah.
They had the screens you could go through.
Yeah, the side ones like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have what we have now. So that's a
I know.
big leap in logic.
This is prime example right here. Like,
Right. That's right.
I remember we used to shoot video, but it would go nowhere, do nothing with it, and then they found a way to allow you to print those pictures and stuff like that. And what was that? Whiting?
Yeah, it looked like a whiting.
Hey, what's the bait?
Yeah, yeah. Hey.
Well, don't worry. I brought fish bites. I brought some double drops. I brought Jackerville, some shark leaders. I brought my underwater cameras. I'm gonna be showing this guy how to cast some avids and stuff like that too. So.
Listen, you know what? Because I know zero about. Let's just be honest. I'm not a good fisherman. Period. I know a little bit about a little bit, and I've always wanted to surf fish, but that was not the type of fishing my father wanted to do. He wanted to bass fish, so he was real big into the bass tournaments up there in North and East Texas. So, like I said, I've always wanted to surf fish down here, and I'm trying to pick up from like you and Nick Meyer over at Breakaway Tackle, and because you guys are the experts. You've been fishing these shores for years now, and you've seen all the different conditions. You know when the fish are coming in. And later on, we're actually going to talk about, I got to pick your brain, how to read the surf. So actually tides are coming in right now. So we should be able to see, 2 or 3 different breaks?
Depending on how bad it gets.
Okay.
Actually, when the tide comes way in, sometimes you won't see the third bar because the water's so thick or deep.
Yep.
When the water gets shallow is when you start seeing all the breaks. Like right now, we're seeing 2.
Right.
One, your first bar right there, and then your second bar. So you don't even see the third bar right now.
Yeah, except out there.
Very rare.
Yeah.
Very rare. So, but you can also, that's how you'll also see your outgoing rip currents and stuff like that. And we tend to look for those so that way when we're kayaking into these monster waves, and this ain't monster, this is flat, calm water is what I would call it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is nothing. This is 1 to 2s maybe. And
It gets hairy when there's a hurricane in the Gulf.
Shoot, northerns blow in.
Yeah. It gets nasty out here.
Oh yeah, no. Actually, some of our beaches are some of the most treacherous in the world. I mean,
really?
Yeah. It don't get like those islands where they have a 10 and 20 foot waves and stuff like that because we got real shallow water.
Yeah.
Considering, but there's other places that have even shallower water, and for us having the deep water, the ripping currents and stuff like that, it can really, really wreck your world if you're not prepared for it or ready for it. A lot of people tend to push themselves past that limit, and you can get hurt doing it. So it's definitely not for the faint of heart or will. If you don't have the will to make it work, you don't be pushing it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you see me, I'm always kind of staring at the waters because I'm waiting to see some kind of action.
Yeah, birds in the water.
Birds, bait fish, big fish. Sometimes you'll see them in the waves right there. And
That's true. When the water's clear, that I have seen, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy looking. And like schools of fish in the waves. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can see it right now. It's not murky, but it is cloudy.
Yeah.
So that's probably why a lot more people are leaving the beach right now because the tide is coming up and stuff. So when we probably come back, we'll probably be doing a little bit more 4x4 than regular and stuff. So.
Oh, it'll handle it. Oh, look at these nice people with all the trash. I love it.
Yeah.
You know what? Keep the beach pretty, man. That's what it's about.
That's the only way we're going to protect it. That's one of the biggest talks on my channel is, you know, the guys coming in to visit, or even some of the locals just taking pride in where they're fishing. You know, they keep damaging it, dirtying it, and, you know, not taking care of it. We're going to end up losing it. You know what I mean? And,
absolutely.
And then they're gonna be the first ones to complain. Yet they weren't the ones willing to go forward and really keep it clean and you know, try to help out in that sense. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, to go to the back of the dunes. Right there.
Yeah, the Yarborough Pass. Yeah, we went and did that yesterday, so that was good. We got some good footage going back there first time. That's the first time
got any
we've been
fishing
right there.
done while you were back there?
No, we didn't get any fishing done. We didn't even bring fishing poles yesterday, so we should have. Well, we didn't. You know.
No.
The funny thing is, out down here on Pens, you know, and I think once we build the channel with the interviews, I like this setting because number one, I'm comfortable in it. You know what I'm saying? This is like the trust tree.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The circle of trust here in the Jeep, and I don't know if I could sit in a studio or even at the office like you do. When you do your live stuff at the office, that would be hard for me.
It is because I'm in your same frame of thought. Like, I wish I could be out here,
right,
being live, doing what I can do, but we have no signal.
You know what? I'm thinking about working on that. There's a Iridium-based unit that you can stream with now, so you can do it over the satellite.
Wow.
Obviously, it's expensive, but hey.
Well, once my channel gets big enough to where I can afford something like that,
You know
or maybe,
what I mean?
you know, I get a sponsor come down, hey, send me that info on that.
I will.
I'll start posting that to my channel, and you never know, some of these companies will just send you the gear to test out because maybe they don't have somebody down here willing to do it.
That's right. That's right. And I'll call the rep and see what they want to do. I'd love to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're building this channel, and I think the intent behind this channel, Colt wants to call it Overland Uncut.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where we talk about overlanding, we talk about outdoors, we talk about this, we talk about that. But I want to bring in the local business owners. You know what I'm saying? That their business is the beach down here. So, and what better way to talk with business owners and folks that their life depends on the beach than bring them down on the beach and talk about it.
All right, so here's a few things to consider, because if I'm hearing you right, you're going to have Overland America as one channel, and then you're creating another channel called Overland Uncut.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of the thing that was something that I wanted to do, and the guy that instructed me, he's already at 400,000 subs now. When I first started talking with him, he was only at 100,000 subs. He was like at 112,000.
Really?
He's grown 300,000 subs in the same period of time it took me to grow 15,000. So I'm going to listen to this guy because he's doing it right.
He's a subject matter expert.
So
if you guys can get us to 100,000 subs.
Yeah. So what he was saying is, when you're doing that, concentrate on one channel first.
Yeah.
Put all your nuts and potatoes into that one first. Create a good meal before you start feeding everybody with it.
Gotcha.
But even then, too, like on my channel, I've got After the Catch. I've got real spooling, real unspooling. I've got fishing trips. I've got catch and cooks. I've got all of these different levels of each video because right now I'm keeping it all together on one channel because I'm trying to grow one channel.
I got you.
Once I get to that prospect of being, okay, I've got enough time to where I can branch off and start worrying about two channels, then I can do it.
Well, what if we just include it on the main channel?
That's what I'm saying. You like on mine,
you put it on a playlist, right?
Yes.
You just create a new playlist called Overland Uncut, and then all of these interviews we basically post there.
Exactly. And it's still under Overland America, but you're still doing your branch outs, and then you can even do this, you know, another beach trip, because obviously once we get through our interview, our next one is to actually be fishing, so that's a totally different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
that's different footage.
Yeah, and then we actually catch something that you want to go home and cook. Then that's other footage because now it's catch and cook.
I love it.
You got being in the military. You're going to totally understand where I'm coming from on this. We had
We didn't tell them about that yet. We weren't to that point in your life, but go ahead. Go ahead.
So
Go
I
ahead.
fast forwarded real quick.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to come back and
Yeah.
reminisce here in a minute. But the one thing we didn't learn in the military was how to our jobs transcribe or transfer over to civilian life.
That's right.
As civilians, you learn, okay, you're a manager. Your job titles are this.
Yeah.
Well, being in the military, once you gained rank, you were already a manager because you were already in
There was
charge
an
of other
expectation
people. And
that
I'm
you were
talking,
doing that, yeah.
So as you grew in the military, each level of new responsibilities, new ranks, and this and that, it just expanded your ability to handle all these different jobs, all these different applications, and everything else. And man, that was a beautiful wave.
Yeah.
Oh, it came up all together like this and crusted and came over all at once.
Nice.
It's like, see, like almost like the wave behind it.
Yeah.
But it was the first wave of the set,
Oh,
so
okay.
it wasn't blocked by anything. And
Nice.
but so with that in mind, with the channel, it's the same way. You got to think of how I can make this work for this, make this work for this, because you're trying to capitalize on the amount of time you have invested into as much as you can within the channel. Once you figure that out, how you, like I was saying, once you get back, the cleaning of the vehicle, the maintenance of the vehicle,
Right.
all the gear you put into it, how you got to get, everything is broken. Everything has its own specific job title that you can do in there.
Right.
And yeah, you can piece it all together if you have that. If you have that amount of flying, like I see in these bigger channels,
Yeah.
like they do catch and cook for cook, clean, all this, all in one video.
Yeah.
Because they only have to post one video a week. Able to cast out a distance compared to everybody else, you know. And I go out there and I meet with them on the beach. I cast out, and he goes, "Well, that castle's for shit."
Yeah, Nick, I love it. I told folks when I first met him, I was sitting in his office for probably 20, 25 minutes, just listening to him. I was like, man, I could film this right here and sell this.
So where were we? Right out of high school.
Right out of high school. That's where we left off.
Well, that's when I joined the Marine Corps.
Oh shit!
98 to 02. I think it was.
So you decided to start eating crayons then, right? Is that you always had an affinity for crayons?
I always loved crayons, but I soon learned that green was my color.
Green, good. Yeah.
Or flavor, should I say? Yeah. So if y'all don't know about crayon eaters, then you definitely got to explore some more in life.
So what'd you do in the Marine Corps?
I did aviation ordnance. I dealt with building bombs and gun systems for the Harrier and multiple other aircraft, but my primary job was for the Harrier.
The AV-8B, huh?
Yes, sir. The jump jet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. What was your favorite bomb to make?
Actually, it wasn't really my favorite bomb to make. All the bombs were cool, but just because you knew they could explode, you know, if you
Right.
did something wrong or whatever. But most of them had so many safety features that you really didn't worry about that. But you did have to be precautious. You didn't want to damage the igniter or whatever and do something wrong. But for me, it was working on the gun system. That was my thing. Like I got into working on this gun system, 5-barrel Gatling gun. Each barrel weighs 75 pounds. Each barrel, and it's got 5.
Nice.
Oh, that thing was awesome.
Yeah.
Freaking. I mean, yeah, they had higher speed guns and this and that, but that one was mine. There were many like it, but that one was mine.
One was mine. Nice.
So, came in, learned, you know, from the guys that were above me and stuff like that, but I also learned fast that, you know, I had to learn my job, you know what I mean? Because at any given time, they could be gone.
Yeah.
And that was real evident after the first deployment took off from our shop. The guys that were above us, you know, were gone, and like, okay, who's going to teach us now or whatever kind of deal.
Right.
And so we had to learn, you know what I mean? We had to really study our knowledge on the material, the gear itself, and then bring it together and be able to teach other people your job. So that's where I think, you know, the Marine Corps has it awesome because, you know your job, but you also know 10 other people's jobs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously you specialize in yours, but if ever, you know, shit ever hit the fan, you were able to cross maneuver your job and stuff.
So
like
if you
that.
had to, you could build one all by yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And
It's not ideal. You want to break it up because everybody has their expertise, you know.
it is, but we trained so much on being able to do it all by ourselves.
Yeah.
You weren't codependent on other people to finish your job.
Gotcha.
So that was a real good thing, and that's why a lot of what I do, I'm still like that to this day. Like, I don't depend on others to finish what I started.
Yeah.
So now I love sharing it with other people and getting them on board, you know, and like the fishing trips. Obviously, there can only be one person on the shark to take full credit for it.
Yeah.
But there's so many steps in the process of setting up camp, tying on leaders, rigging bait, maintaining everything while you're out there waiting for that big shark to bite and stuff like that. And then all that starts all over once you do hook up, you pull it in, now you got a whole nother process to get going and stuff like that.
So would you say the guy on the reel is a lot like the pilot?
Yes.
And everybody else is like a crew chief and a, you know, air ground equipment age guy and maintenance folks.
Oh yeah, there's so many jobs that can be done, you know, just landing a big fish. And a lot of people don't really understand that when they're trying to get into this type of sport. So like with my channel, I've been really concentrating on that specific of calling it After the Catch or the Teach a Man to Fish series, because a lot of people want to get into it because they see it's cool, it's awesome, and this and that. But I'm showing you the true grunt work, whether it's good or bad, of what it is to fish like that and what to expect. So that way you're not, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen, right? Yeah, fishing is fishing. You don't know what you're going to hook into, what you're going to catch, what's going to happen. But if you get exposed to it beforehand, then you're not so like lost in the sauce.
And I think that's what you guys do very well on your channel, is you show from you know, from flash to bang, the whole process of getting on site, setting up, showing the logistics of everything, and then finally hooking in, and the amount of work that it takes to get a 10, 12 footer in. You know, I think that's amazing.
And even the time frame between those catches, you know, they're going to see, okay.
Well, the guys out there in the internet space, they get to see the edited version. You know, they don't get to sit around and listen to people fart or say dumb shit, you know.
I leave my farts on my channel. We had a video the other day on a Goose Island
right in front of everybody,
and we're sitting there talking about something all here. It's real life, man.
It's a man's channel.
It definitely is, but we got a lot of women anglers in there that, you know, hey, they get down and dirty.
Do they? That's good.
They want to fish. They want to kayak bait. They want to pull in their own shark. Like, you know what I mean? It's not for men only. It's for anybody willing to cast a line and go out and fish. That's what it's primarily about.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think there's, I definitely think there is a space out there for showing people what to do. And I think there's way more people now today that want to go out and experience the outdoors. They either A, don't have the equipment, B, don't have the means to get there, and C, don't have the knowledge. So I think, and that's why I really like, you know, partnering up with you guys, because you teach the specifics of, you know, the fishing aspect, shark fishing, you know, reds, pompano, you name it, you can explain it reading the surf. Whereas I try to tell my customers, hey, we're going to put you in a vehicle to make sure that you get there. You know, you don't have to worry about getting to the fishing location, because we're going to put you in a vehicle that's going to make sure that you get there
safely and back.
Exactly.
That's the biggest one right there. Or, you know, and it's going to happen. You know, things will break down. You cannot tell the future of what's really going to happen. But being able to know that even though you're down here and you're by yourself, you still have a way to communicate with help.
That's right.
That's been like one of the biggest fears of always trying to find a location on beach to be able to get out a signal, you know, to get help if you need it. And y'all actually offer that, which is another big, like, when I heard that, I was like, what? Like, hold on. So
when we first started looking at it, because when we first started in the Black Hills, it was the same problem. I mean, cell phone, reception was spotty at best up there. So we had to have something, and satellite was just seemed to be the logical choice. And I don't know, I like it. I mean, it's a slower communication process, but it's more guaranteed than any other type of communication.
Well, that being said, I mean, it's a reliable one too. Like, for us, coming down beach, we had to find the right area where we
crawl up on the dunes,
walking up in the dunes,
try to put your phone in the air, try to figure out where the signal is.
There's so many disadvantages of coming down here. That's why it's called no man's land. And as you can tell, the further down we get, the less vehicles you will see as we're coming down here.
Yeah.
And the further down you get, the less and less you will see. So but having that ability, and now, like you're saying, now you have a company that is offering these vehicles for you to be able to rent and take down and ensure that you can get back to civilization. Or get help.
Right.
While you're out there trying to enjoy yourself, you know what I mean? Because fishing is its own monster, but vehicle travel, that's a whole nother ball game. Like, we had thought about this years and years ago. We just didn't have the money to do it. It takes it takes some serious cheddar if you're going to do it right. You know,
and do it professionally. Yeah, you're
exactly.
right.
Yep.
Yeah. You don't want a bunch of, and this is not a knock on anybody's old Jeeps. My favorite model of Jeep is a TJ, basically. But it's very difficult to sit there and run a rental business with old equipment. It's not appealing to a customer to do that.
Well, it's not only that. You got to look at it as a business standpoint too, because with those older vehicles, originally they were built to last.
Yeah, but your maintenance goes up.
Oh, your maintenance goes through the roof, man. It's freaking. I know this because my vehicle, I used to have an old Dodge and an old Chevy, and man, in two-wheel drive, I could just let it crawl through all of this and it would eat it up.
Right.
But every 3 weeks to a month and a half, I was fixing something on it.
Yeah.
And so my cost was crazy phenomenal. So being able to, get newer gear, newer life on your vehicle, ensure that these guys don't have to deal with things falling off, falling apart, breaking down, and they can go out there and handle themselves in this kind of conditions right here. I mean, it's a prime example.
But it's only this soft right now. Well, I mean, it's this soft all the time, but because of the tides, and we're catching high tide here this afternoon. That's the reason why it pushes you up into the soft stuff. So your fuel mileage goes way the hell down. So we always try to tell our customers, to plan for that, and to work within the tide schedule, if at all possible. So
one of the things we always, besides bringing the extra 5 gallons of gas, is we watch our fuel consumption.
Did you bring it?
No, I didn't.
You didn't bring the gas?
Not today.
Shit.
You only said 1 hour.
Shit. Well, we're gonna get stuck down here.
All right.
I
got rod and reels. I got rod and reels. Right. We're gonna eat. We're gonna eat. Don't worry about that.
We're gonna eat some sushi tonight. Yeah. We got no way to cook it, but
there's plenty of wood everywhere. Make it happen.
Right.
Yeah. Now we've come down here with just bait and gear, and we left with full bellies and meat in the cooler.
I love that. That's a great idea. I always try to tell our customers too, when you're driving on the beach down here, our sand, and again, I'm not well versed in the world's sand, okay, but I can tell you this: our sand down here on this beach, I've talked to a couple of different customers. They think that wet sand is softer than dry sand, and I try to tell them that's opposite. So when the tide's down, you want to drive down next to the water line.
Yeah.
Because it's like driving on concrete.
Yeah. Now there are some certain areas of this sand where it
gets soft. Like back there, we just passed it. We were in the soft stuff when we passed it, but yeah, down on that water line,
yeah,
it was real soft.
Yeah, you'll learn. These stretch of the beaches have their own attitude. Each section is different from the next, and You know, with having these vehicles with everything they're offering is safety paramount. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and you can see how high the tide was coming up before, and it's coming into that section now. But we still got probably about half an hour to an hour before it gets there. So
yeah, we got plenty of gas to get down and back in the soft stuff anyway, so it ain't gonna, and it's not gonna matter.
Yeah.
So you spent some time in the Marine Corps. You built bombs, which is fantastic. Why'd you get out? What'd you do when you got out?
When I got out, came back to Texas, Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
And I started working as a security for the refineries because I was trying to look for a high-paying job. And at that time, like I said, I didn't know how to transfer my job titles in the military to civilian life.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I started working with other vets and them showing me, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that, and this is how you got to look at it and stuff like that. And once they opened that door, man, it's just like, oh, okay. Now the flooded of ideas have come in of what I can do, how I can make money. And then soon after that, it's when I got a job on the base, and I was there for over 7 years.
Nice. What'd you do out there?
Aircraft mechanic.
Okay.
I was a desalinization mechanic was my primary job. Like, that's pretty much all we did. The actual aircraft mechanics that worked on the mechanical portion of the aircraft on a day-to-day, you know, they saw us as the red-headed stepchildren that they like to ignore.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's all right. You know, they had their job, we had ours, but when no aircraft flew, then we didn't have a job to work, so then they would send us home kind of deal. And we tried to work with it to where we can work in the hangars with them, so that way we can learn the aircraft more, because
they didn't want you working in the hangars with them.
It was that, and like we would slow them down. And now they were teaching us these aircraft, because obviously these trainer aircraft that they have aren't in the fleet.
Right.
So there was no way to learn about them until you actually were on site, on the job, learning. Okay, this is what we got to do. And stuff like
you
that.
have to be on a training base in order to get it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and for us, we were on training bases, but they were all jets or helicopters.
Right.
So it was definitely different. And then stumbled upon this. I was fishing on Bob Hall Pier, buying tackle, and I bought it from a local tackle shop out there, and realized, man, I walk out of there $250 in a brown paper bag like this.
Yeah.
And I was just like, geez,
those are the purchases that piss the wife off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, so I got into making my own leaders because I was taught how to make my own leaders years and years ago. And then I started learning, you know, man, I can make my leaders cheaper than buying leaders.
Okay.
So that's how I kind of got into making my own, because buying leaders already prefab, they were expensive, really expensive.
Yeah.
So I could build, you know, 20 to 25 leaders for the same price it would cost me to build 3 or 4 liters, or buy them pre-built, you know.
Right.
What I mean? So at that point, I was, you know, a bargain shopper. And what really kicked my sales into high gear was the day I actually recreated my leader on the pier, and everybody that was out there was having a blast seeing our runs, but nobody was hooking up.
Yeah.
And me, I was the person that was kind of getting upset. I was like, man, dude, we ain't got to hook up like a real run all day. Like, they take off and then drop it, take off and they'll drop it.
Right.
So once I actually started hooking up after I built my leaders, then my hookup ratio went from 15% to about 95, 98%.
Really?
So that's when the numbers really truly started to speak for themselves as, damn, these are some damn good leaders.
So the ones you were producing were better than the store-bought ones?
Yes. Yeah,
Gotcha.
for hookup ratios, yeah.
Now, is that because you went with a different hook, or?
It was a little bit of that, but also the way I designed the leaders.
Okay.
I started, instead of having a sliding weight, I stopped using the sliding weight. You know, and I also had a certain amount of length per hook section and length per casting section and stuff like that, because all of that too also had a science behind it.
Okay. What's the science?
I didn't want my leader getting all tangled up on itself during cast.
Okay.
Was one. Two, by changing up the type of material that I was using, I didn't get it all pigtailed when a big fish would hit it. Or if we was out there and the big fish came around, they wouldn't cut off. They were less likely to cut off the leader biting on the bait.
Okay. All right. And that was all just practical experience, or did you do research on that?
It was all hands-on, getting out there and fishing, and then seeing what would happen. And then it was our best guess because obviously we didn't have underwater cameras.
Right.
So we had to kind of work around what was happening, reading the line when it would come in, or maybe you find out that you didn't tie a good knot. You see that little curly tail at the end. You're not tying a good knot.
Yeah. So what would you say, in your opinion, is the proper knot to use?
There's tons of knots out there that will work, to tell you the truth. For me, now that I'm using my braid and stuff like that, I use a polymer knot, and it's designed so that way I can untie my braid when I'm done, and I don't have to cut my line anymore. Can't do a mono because once it locks in, mono shapes. It changes shape, so it's locked in there. You won't get it undone.
Okay.
Solid braid, it doesn't do that, but it does. It has a lock. The braid's so abrasive when it locks in, it creates grip.
Yeah.
And it doesn't allow you to untie it. So with the hollow core braid that we're using now, enables us to do that. So.
But they're better than they used to be. The old fisherman's knot that I used to run, I don't use those anymore. Those are a thing of the past.
Fishing is always adapt and change when you're really looking for it. If you're not looking for it, then it ain't gonna change or it ain't gonna grow.
Yeah. So I understand. So you've always had the affinity for fishing and the practical experience from a very young age. But there's a huge difference between taking a hobby, okay, and turning it into a full-fledged business with a storefront, a brick and mortar, and you're in there and you're selling gear.
Mm-hmm.
So when did that transition happen?
Like I said, I started selling tackle on the pier about 2004.
Okay.
2006, I picked up my first tackle shop, which was Roy's Bait and Tackle. I kept them all the way to about 2012. But in 2007, I picked up Causeway, Red Dot Clams, Market 37.
So all the local bait and tackle shops.
Yeah, once I was in with them, they knew I could maintain the amount of tackle that they were requiring for me to be able to supply them. And so from there, it was just maintaining the gear that people were looking for, because I'd already established my gear as being able to go out there and catch fish. There's a lot of guys that come out there and they fish for a bit and then they start putting out gear and tackle. And it's because a lot of people really don't want to buy gear or make gear themselves. They would rather just buy it. A lot of it has to do with time and work schedules, home life, and this and that. And many don't have the ability to divulge a lot of time on making gear. So sorry. They want to get off of work, load their gear, and take off.
Right.
We bridge that gap for them to allow them to buy good gear and get it out there and use it and catch fish with it. So
that's what it seems like. It's hard to take something that you love and make a business out of it. You think it's the greatest thing in the world when you first think about it. You're like me. I love Jeeps. I've loved Jeeps since I stole my first Jeep when I was 15, and I've loved driving them. You know what I'm saying? I've loved off-roading. So when I thought,
birds feeding right there.
Yeah, they are. I bet there's fish out there.
Mm-hmm.
Bet there's fish. But yeah, it's hard though. It's hard making that transition from hobby to work.
And I think that's where I got real lucky, because I was already on the pier when it all happened. It wasn't like me being at home out of my garage and, I'm going to make fishing tackle, let me sell it. It wasn't like that. It was actually on the pier with a bunch of people there, and it was funny because they were kind of laughing at me, thinking that I lost my mind that morning. But when we started nailing fish after fish after fish after fish, trip after trip after trip, they were like, dude, sell me one of your leaders. Or can I, at first I was cool. Hey, yeah, here, try my leader. Here, try my leader. And after that, I was like, man, I can't keep giving them away. It has to pay me to at least be able to buy more gear,
Right.
And so that's where I stumbled upon it by starting to sell the gear when I was out there fishing.
So, do you think every business owner starts their business with that generous heart, and they do that for 1, maybe 2 years, and then, or even a half a year in some industries, and they chop that in half, and they're like, yeah, I'm done giving, because it's not producing anything?
It was like that for me because, like I said, I wanted to see people catch. I wanted to see people, like, you know, and I guess it was more of a man deal, like, you know, it wasn't saying it, but saying it at the same time, like, dude, your leader's not good. Like, use this one because it's already proven to catch. Like, you know, when that fish takes off and runs with it, you got to hook them. I mean, we had sharks, we had redfish hooked in the nose, like through the nostril. They came up and nudged the bait and got hooked.
Really?
So for that, you know, it don't even take them biting the bait. It just, they come near my bait, they're gonna get hooked up. Like,
nice.
So, and then for everybody else to start seeing that, and then, you know, we're willing to pull out of their money out of their pocket for my gear.
Yeah.
It just, man, shoot, now I can get paid to go fishing. I was like, man, no, it ain't gonna cost me nothing.
Right.
So that's where it kind of evolved from, was paying, you know, it was paying for my fishing trips. Now I can go fishing and it not cost me no money.
Nice.
And it just slowly kept growing from there and stuff like that. Kept plugging away at it, and then soon it was like, you know, I can really make a go of this. So I went for it, and
nice.
Yeah, it's been a long, hard road, that's for sure.
So obviously, when you started making shark tackle, then you started fishing in shark tournaments, or had you always fished shark tournaments?
No, it was once I actually started making the tackle, and it was catching more and producing more and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got invited to one of those, you know, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go check that out. I'm gonna go see how I do, and I didn't do very well.
Right.
You know, fishing out, and because it was all beach fishing, it wasn't pier fishing.
Right.
So it was a whole different dynamic of fishing, and so once I learned that, then I started producing, and then that's when it really changed my whole dynamic of, okay, now I can really compete with the big guys, you know.
When was your first win in the shark tournament?
It was actually Surf Cats was one of my first wins, and it wasn't even for shark, it was for bull red. I caught a 44.5-inch bull red, which took first place.
Damn, that's a big fish, dude.
It was nice.
Damn.
And it was during red tide too, so
really,
we came. My buddies from San Antonio, actually, they came down, Eric and his brother.
Yeah.
Brothers, should I say? And they came down. They said, "How far should we go?" I said, "Dude, as soon as you smell, or as soon as you see bait fish running through, stop." I said, "The further down you go, the worse the conditions are going to be. The red tide's coming up. You know, let's just, as soon as we get there, stop there. We'll fish it hard." And sure enough, they did. They're like, "All right, we're right here. We're like 3/4 of a mile in from the pin, from the sticks."
Oh, really?
Right there, like. And so I got out there, and within about 45 minutes of us getting baits in the water, I was hooked up with that bull red.
No kidding.
Game warden actually was coming out on the beach, checked us right there, right, tagging it up and all of that, and you know, told him we were in that tournament and stuff like that. And it was actually a kill tournament at that time.
Okay.
But this is way before I got to the level where I'm at now. Like now, I don't ever do kill tournaments just because, you know, I don't want to catch a big old monster like that and have to kill it, you know.
Right.
So,
right.
And then next year I did another tournament, then Saloon. I was, man, I got to get into these tournaments because that's how I'm going to get my name out there.
Now, how long does a redfish live?
What, out of water?
No. I know they're not going to live very long out of water. I'm saying you put them back so that they can breed other big fish.
Mm-hmm.
But how long does a red, you know, what's the lifespan of a bull red?
Good question. I don't know, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I'd say 25, 30 years.
Really? So they can produce offspring for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Now, I'm guessing there. Like I said,
we need to get a biologist to check that.
I don't have a biology degree. I'm good at catching. I'm a fisherman.
we need a fact checker, like a Joe Rogan Jamie or something like that.
Chime in right there.
Chime in right there and tell us. Just Google that stuff.
Yeah. Well, while he's editing the footage, you can actually put in their research to find out their this age.
At this point,
and put it in there. Yep. what's crazy is in different parts of the world they grow to different sizes. Australia, they're bait fish. They only get, this big.
Are you kidding?
Here in the Gulf Coast, they get up into the 50-inch range, 60-inch range.
God.
The East Coast, they get into 100-pounders.
What?
The 110 pounds was one of the ones that I saw up there when I was stationed up there.
Wow.
They caught it in the outer banks of
North Carolina?
North Carolina, yeah.
Wow. 100-pound redfish.
The only bad thing was he could only take measurements on it and had to release it because he didn't have an actual skill master there.
Yeah.
Because they're not allowed to tag them like we are here.
Oh, really? So it's all catch and release out there.
15 to 20 inches is their size limit.
Oh, wow.
That's
nothing.
itty bitty.
That's baby.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I kept my and you were allowed to keep 5 of them.
Yeah.
And one day I kept 5 and I filleted them up. I was like, man, I was looking at it, I was like, dude, this sucks.
So,
I'm from Texas and we keep 3 and our 3 are,
right.
one was bigger than all 3 of those put together,
So redfish down here on the seashore, they're a slot fish.
For legal limits.
Yeah. So tell everybody what a slot fish is and why. What are the measurements for a red slot and why do they do it?
They do that because it allows the fish to gain maturity enough to have reproduced in its lifetime.
Okay.
So 20 to 28 inches is the size limit they came up with on their own the biology research and stuff like that.
Right.
So now they have also allowed for people to keep oversized reds once they're tagged with a special tag, which you get 2 per year. So you can actually keep an oversized red, which means once it's over 28 inches, then you can tag it to keep it, but you only get 2 of those per year, per person.
Gotcha. So if you did catch a trophy, you could tag it and take it with you, but you can only do that twice a year.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. I also heard that they carry worms.
That is not just for redfish. That can be for any kind of fish, depending on where they live. If they live in real stagnant water, they have worms. Over here in the Gulf, I've never caught a fish that had worms in it.
Really?
And I'm talking, I've kept 50 inches because they're bull reds with tags, and I've never caught one with worms.
Wow. Okay, so you say like if you catch something over in the Madre,
yes,
you're going to get worms.
You will find a lot of them with worms, and they don't have to be big. I've caught little slots, like at the minimum size, but there's the only one, and I wanted to keep a fish, and I kept it because it was illegal to keep, and opened it up, and it had worms.
Wow.
So it really all depends where they grow and they live. The water's in there. They have so much bacteria and stuff like that they fester these kind of worms and growths. And
they're just worms that get into the meat, and they're parasites, and basically just ruin the meat. Keep it where you can't eat it.
Well, okay, so that's actually a 2-part answer.
All right.
You can eat them once they're cooked.
Okay.
I wouldn't recommend eating them when they're raw.
Yeah, you'll get the worm.
I don't know, but they say that they're for fish only, not for human.
Okay.
So I guess our internal organs won't allow it to get into us and stuff like that. But I play it on the safe side.
Yeah. That's crazy.
When I got out of the Marine Corps in 02, like I said, in 04 I started, selling. 06 I got, into my first shop. 2013 is when I picked up a business partner that gave me the funds to allow me to open up a shop. And we opened up and we hit the ground running. Like it was I was like, man, we got this. Like we had a niche in the market. People knew our names. They knew the tackle we put out there.
Yeah.
We started flying. And then it was like 3 months later, the oil field crashed. Over 700,000 people lost their jobs overnight.
I remember that. Yeah.
So that was 95% of my clientele.
Yeah.
So we landed on our face, man. It was pretty bad.
So it just goes to show you when a market collapses, there are second and third order effects of that market collapsing. So what was it, 2014, 2014, yeah. When the oil market went tango uniform.
Yep.
And Yeah, my brother and my dad were actually working up in Williston at that time.
Oh, wow.
Doing safety on oil rigs, and yeah, everybody lost their job at that point.
See all this shell here?
Yeah,
Good for pompano fishing.
I love pompano. I love it.
We got the gear to do it.
I know. We're gonna finish this up. We're gonna come back. We're gonna fish this area right here because I want a whole mess of pompano. I want to start eating some healthy fish.
Whiting's real good too.
Is
Sand
it?
trout, whiting, sand trout, you can eat all of that too.
There you go. See, and they're all like a white meat, aren't they?
Yes.
See, people think they're trash fish, but I don't think there is a trash fish out here in the surf, is there?
People don't like catfish, saltwater catfish.
I did catch one the other day. That I thought it was a nice one, but yeah, I'd heard that.
Yeah. Now we know certain cultures still eat them and stuff like that. I'm sorry. I tried it one time. I was starving. Like I was out on a fishing trip.
Yeah.
We didn't have no food left over, so I put one on a piece of oak and started trying to eat it. And I had about half a bite, and I was like, okay, I can't do it.
Just what did it taste like?
Well, I had no seasoning. I had nothing.
Right.
And it just nasty, downright nasty.
Slimy.
No. I mean, it cooked like fish. Like it cooked like fish. It really
Okay.
did. It just the flavor. Yeah, there was no flavor that intrigued me to keep eating it.
It's crazy. Now, somebody told me that when these birds are grouped up on the beach like this, they know something. They know that something's going to be coming around, or they're waiting on a ball of bait fish or something coming down the shore. Is that true? Is that a true statement?
That is actually the first time I've heard that.
I heard that from Nick, actually. He said, follow the birds.
Yeah.
They're
yeah.
way smarter than you are at fishing.
Yeah.
So they're going to tell you where the fish are the majority of the time.
Yeah.
Or where they're going to be.
Well, that one I haven't heard, but normally when I'm driving on the beach, yeah, we look out for them. See, like right here, see how there's no white water?
Yeah.
Like that's a rip current going out.
Is it really?
See how there's white water over here and there's white water off to the left?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I look for.
Okay.
When I'm trying to get my baits out and it's big waves. You'll see it more, the bigger the surf,
Yeah.
you'll see them more evidently. Like it'll be real calm in those areas.
Okay. So explain. So the current going out, like a riptide going out.
Yes.
What does that do for fishing?
For me, it's when I'm kayaking bait, it allows me to go over that third bar without getting trashed. Like, as those waves come through, you got to go through the waves.
Right.
Well, if it allows me a little highway to get out there,
Yeah.
then I do it. But when I'm coming back in, I don't follow that same route. I actually come through the waves
Right.
because I don't want current pushing me out.
Yeah.
I want it to bring me in.
Right.
So, yeah. It gets pretty gnarly. It really
Now
does.
is that like a highway for fish? Do you fish those as
Yes,
well?
we do. Yeah, we do.
Okay. So you always want to look for those riptides and
That, dead ends, pinches. There's so many different parts of this beach that we get fish to congregate in those areas and stuff like that.
yeah.
Man, look how high it's coming.
It's coming in. Absolutely. I'm going to dodge it a little bit. It's almost supposed to be 2 foot above sea level. It's supposed to be a high tide today because we're on a waxing tide schedule. So we're coming into a fuller moon phase. You try to do the calculations where, low tide, high tide, how much drivable beach are you going to have, calculated to the point where, we tell the customer that tide's going to be coming in today about 7 to 9 feet per hour. So every hour that you're going to be spending on the beach, depending on where you start and stop, that tide is going to move that amount of distance.
So he's talking about distance on the beach, not on height.
You get up here into this soft stuff like we're on right now. I mean, you're going to chew through gas like it's nothing. I mean,
it is.
We're
It
in
will.
4 high right now with the electronic stability control turned off, and So, pro tip. Let me caveat this: when you're down here, what I've found on these brand new JLs is when you hit the sand, I don't care if you're in 2-wheel drive, turn the electronic stability control off. It'll make traveling through the sand, 2-wheel drive, 4 high, and it automatically happens with 4 low. Turn that off completely so that your stability control system isn't kicking off every time. Because when you have those larger tires, you know what I'm saying? Like this one's got 37s. Yeah, those tire sensors, you know, sense the change in the wheel spin that much more, and it kicks that system off. So you start bogging down in places you don't want to bog down in.
Yep.
So you want to turn that shit off and, you know, go.
Yep. Yeah, no joke. And that'll actually keep you from having to go into 4x4 a lot of the time.
A lot of the times down here. It saves gas.
Yep.
You save a lot of gas coming down in 2-wheel drive versus 4-wheel drive just by doing that one thing. Air your tires down and hit that ESC button. Turn that off. Well,
more shell right there.
Yeah, we're going to go back and hit that. I think we're going to head back and hit that other patch, but just wanted to come down. Where are we at? Where's the next marker? I haven't been paying attention to the markers.
I was looking at the water to see if
Yeah.
I could see some bait fish moving through. So.
About 25 or so, 30.
You didn't set your odometer when you hit the beach?
No, I did not.
That's always another tip.
Pro tip
Yep.
from the fishermen.
Set your odometer as soon as you hit the sand. It's not going to be exact, but at least you have an idea of where you're going to be. Because like you said, there's times when you're in these 4x4 areas, so your tires spin more, so it makes it look like you're a little bit further than what you actually are. So, you know, if it says, you know, 12 miles down, you can say, it's safe to say you're 10 to 12. You know,
Right.
depending on how much 4x4 you're doing. But if you're rolling on the hard road on the low tide, then you're pretty much exact of where you're at.
Albert, dude, it's awesome having you out here on the beach, going
Thank
through
you.
all this stuff with us, and I hope to have many more trips in the future where you can teach, you know, our guys and our subscribers, you know, about fishing. You know, we're not just a Jeep rental business. You know, we really try to show folks how to get out to the places that they never thought they'd go, and to do the things that they never thought that they would do.
Yep.
And the thing is to just go out and do it, you know, and feel safe that people have your back, people are watching your back, and, you know, have fun. Once again, brother, thanks.
Hey, thank you for the invite.
Yeah. Hey.
Enjoying the cruise for
Yeah.
sure. So now we got to go get some lines with.
Now we got to go drop some bait in the water.
Yeah.